The headline just hits with this chilling precision. Russian Grad MLRS, tanks, and IFVs hit in coordinated Ukrainian drone strike video. That was December 31st, 2025. And look, this wasn't just a lucky shot. It was a perfectly executed coordinated strike. Chain, subscribe to Defense Reports, your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. I'm Alex. Join me with Arya in the latest Deep Dive by Defense Report for a sharp, no-nonsense breakdown of the latest in global defense news, military technology, and strategic developments. And today we're going to cover the absolute power and the institutional maturation of Ukraine's unmanned systems forces.
That coordinated strike on New Year's Eve is the perfect launch pad, Alex. I mean, our mission today is really to unpack that maturity. This isn't just about volunteer drone teams anymore.
No.
We're talking about a professional, integrated military branch, and that shift is, well, it's defining everything we're seeing.
And we're going to peel back the layers on this single strike, this perfect strike, and reveal which elite unit pulled it off. But the story gets much bigger.
Oh, much bigger.
We'll show you how Ukraine is building its own drones, to the point where one commander is talking about a, quote, 1,000 drone night targeting Russia.
And, we have to look at the other side. We're going to analyze why Moscow's own commanders are internally criticizing their own system for failing to adapt. I mean, this isn't just a war of attrition. It's a technological contest now. Drones and data are the deciding factors.
Okay, so let's unpack this opening tactical smash, the one delivered by the Reyrog Regiment, the December 31st operation. We're talking geolocated footage, right? And it documents the simultaneous neutralization of 2 BM-21 Grad MLRS launchers, 2 main battle tanks, and 2 armored combat vehicles.
6 high-value, heavy pieces of armor gone in what looks like a single surgical event. And that efficiency is exactly why we need to talk about this.
So who is this unit?
They're the 427th Separate Regiment of Unmanned Systems, known as Reyrog, and they are the perfect example of this institutional growth.
How so?
Well, they started as just a single company and a mechanized brigade back in April 2023. By February 2025, they were a full regiment specializing in reconnaissance and high-precision FPV strikes.
So it's that maturity we're focusing on. Their whole philosophy, drones, data, and discipline instead of randomness. And that data part is key if you want to understand why this specific strike was so impressive.
That's right. We have to talk about the kill chain here, especially for the Grad MLRS. The Grad is a classic hit-and-run system.
Right. It's notoriously difficult to target. It fires and it's gone.
Exactly. It unloads its rockets and disappears before any counter-battery fire can even think about landing.
And how fast are we talking here? What's the window?
A full salvo, that's 40 rockets, takes only about 20 seconds. From the first launch to being ready to drive away. Hitting it in that window is what separates, a professional force from just a random attack.
Okay, so break down that kill chain for us, because this is what modern battlefield transparency actually looks like.
It's 3 critical, almost instantaneous steps. First, a long-range scout drone spots the thermal signature, maybe the muzzle flash, as the Grad fires. That's the spot.
Got it.
Second, that data, the precise coordinates, is instantly routed to an FPV drone operator or maybe an automated system managing a swarm. That's the cue.
And the final step.
And third, the FPV drone, which is probably already loitering nearby, is cued for the final attack. It flies that last stretch, high speed, and hits the vehicle before it can move more than a few meters. That's the strike.
Wow. So successfully hitting a Grad in that 20-second window basically makes their old tactics obsolete. You can't just rely on speed anymore.
You can't. And Reyrog's track record proves this isn't a one-off. They're systematic. They took out a T-90 tank in July 2023, a high-value Credo M1 ground surveillance radar a few months later.
I saw that.
And in January of 25, they eliminated 4 T-62s and 3 BMP-2s near Chassis Yar. They are the institutional proof that this works.
So that tactical success is really the visible tip of the iceberg.
Exactly. It's the result of a much bigger strategic shift. The creation of the unmanned systems forces the USS as its own distinct branch. This is about doctrine, not just hardware.
Which brings us to Command and the figure known as Charlie. He commands the 1st Separate Unmanned Systems Center.
Right, what used to be the 14th Regiment, and this unit is the heavy hitter. They're reportedly responsible for 80 to 90% of all deep strikes, not just in occupied territories, but inside Russia itself.
And he talks in strategic terms. He says, quote, "We have a strategic concept. This isn't just about using drones as, like, a support tool."
No, it's about using them for the long-term systemic degradation of the Russian war machine.
And this is where their targeting philosophy gets really interesting, especially when it comes to Russia's own drones. like the Shaheds.
Yes. Instead of just hitting the final assembly plants like the one in Yelabuga, Charlie's unit is hitting the production chain, the component suppliers.
And that's a profound shift. Wow.
Well, it's a direct response to Russia's resilience. Russia can source bulk materials and standard electronics from partners pretty quickly, mostly China. So trying to destroy a massive, old, Soviet-era factory takes hundreds of drone hits just for temporary damage.
If they're going for the specialized choke points instead.
Exactly. It's much more effective to disrupt the flow of very specific components, things like guidance chips, specialized sensors, maybe carbon fiber parts that are harder to source quickly. It's an asymmetric attack on their supply chain.
And the scale of Ukraine's own domestic production is what makes this possible. Charlie says about 90% of the drones his center uses are made in Ukraine.
That's monumental. It's rapid industrial scaling, and it backs up his predictions. He says 2026 will bring serious surprises. And when he was asked about 1,000 drone night, he said it could come quite soon.
1,000 drones. Let me just challenge that for a moment. Is that really feasible? The logistics for that kind of volume engines, batteries, GPS modules, launch crews, it seems astronomical.
It's a huge challenge, you're absolutely right, and it still relies on some external components, but the confidence behind the statement is what you need to focus on.
It's a statement of intent.
It's a statement of intent. It shows that the design and manufacturing capacity are scaling faster than anyone thought possible. They believe they have the doctrine and the logistics pipeline to achieve true operational saturation.
And if the USF doctrine is the answer, then the failure of Russian mechanized maneuver is the unavoidable consequence.
Yeah, we saw that perfectly in late December. The failed assaults then were a case study in just how lethal this drone environment is.
What were the numbers on that?
On December 22nd, in the Dobropilya direction, Russian forces tried a huge assault. 4 armored columns, 24 vehicles total. They were met by USF drone units queuing artillery. The result was just devastation.
Honey lost.
6 tanks, 9 IFVs, and 5 APCs destroyed in a single morning. 20 critical armored vehicles gone in one failed push.
And yet, Russian commanders keep trying these daylight mechanized assaults. Why the failure to adapt?
It's that bureaucratic rigidity we talked about. Even Russian mill bloggers are publicly blasting the high command for this. The consensus, even on their side, is that the drone density is so overwhelming that any group larger than 2 soldiers faces deadly consequences.
Which forces them into these slow, grinding infiltration tactics.
Exactly. It completely constrains their ability to get any kind of operational breakthrough with armor.
And on that list of high-value losses, we have to talk about the TOS-1A Solntsepiok, the thermobaric MLRS. This thing is terrifying, but they just keep getting picked off.
And its vulnerability is so telling. It's immensely powerful, sure, but its effective range is only about 10 kilometers.
Which puts it right in the sweet spot for FPV drones.
Right in the striking distance of FPVs and heavy bomber drones like the Vampire. They can't get it close enough to be effective without it being destroyed. As of December 25th, the count was 34 TOS-1As lost, 25 destroyed, 6 damaged, 3 captured, a massive loss for a system they can't replace quickly.
Let's just pause on the overall scale of this attrition for a second. The figures up to December 27th show Russia at 12,203,310 total personnel losses, and the equipment. 11,464 tanks, 23,823 armored vehicles. Put that in perspective for us.
To lose over 11,000 tanks in this time frame is it's unprecedented in modern warfare. The combined tank losses for the US, UK, and France in all of World War II were less than that. It's a testament to the sheer effectiveness of cheap, expendable FPVs and precision artillery. The intensity is almost unendurable.
So moving from the front line to the deep strike strategy, it seems Ukraine has found Russia's economic Achilles heel.
Without a doubt, the oil industry. The attacks on Russian refineries in November 2025 reached a scale we hadn't seen before. It confirms the USF's strategic focus.
Why are oil facilities a better target than, say, purely military infrastructure?
A few key reasons. First, they're huge, sprawling complexes. They're just less protected by air defense than, say, a command bunker. Second, one good hit on a critical point, a catalytic cracker or something, can shut down the entire plant for months.
But the real killer, and this is where sanctions are biting, is the repair problem.
Precisely. The specialized equipment needed for these refineries is largely made in the West. Complex pumps, control systems, they're no longer being supplied. We saw it at the Lukoil refinery. Reports said they needed equipment that only US or European companies could provide. You can't just substitute a giant, specialized Western refiner unit.
So a tactical drone strike becomes long-term strategic economic damage.
Exactly. And this success is driving a huge schism in Moscow's information space. The Kremlin is pushing this cognitive warfare effort, this false narrative of imminent victory.
A narrative that Putin himself keeps reinforcing.
Right, but it clashes violently with the reality being exposed by the USF. Now you have Russian mill bloggers who are usually pretty well informed publicly saying that high-ranking officials are blatantly lying to the very, very top, meaning Putin, about the reality on the front. The truth is leaking out.
Okay, so what does this all mean for the future of the conflict? If we put together the precision of Rarag, the strategic doctrine of Commander Charlie, and the attrition of Russian armor, the key takeaway seems clear.
It is. The Ukrainian armed forces are deploying a systemic technological answer to modern warfare.
It's not just about individual skill anymore.
No. The institutionalization of the USF, integrating everything from reconnaissance to deep strikes, confirms that coordination and data are systematically degrading Russian mechanized power. These successes aren't just morale boosters, they're the measurable result of prioritizing innovation.
So here's a final provocative thought for you to consider. Russia is trying to play catch-up. Their defense minister, Belousov, is appointing businessmen to lead new drone units, trying to replicate that entrepreneurial origin of the Ukrainian USF.
But the big question that remains is this. How long can that kind of bureaucratic rigidity and a culture of lying that their own people are complaining about withstand the decentralized, rapid innovation that we're seeing from units like Rarag?
Innovation thrives on truth and agility. Bureaucracy thrives on stability and false reports.
And only one of those systems seems truly built for the future of warfare.
You've been listening to Defense Report by Alex and Aria, where we analyze the latest in military strategy, global defense, and advanced weaponry.
Subscribe to Defense Reports, your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. We'll catch you next time.